ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकम् हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதீஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृते कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for adjusting the time. All right, so we'll directly get into the seventh stanza because I want to complete 37 and 38 today. Baiju, you can be a student, and Devi, you can be a student. I think I saw, yeah. I think we finished up to 6, right? Okay. Stanza 7. Udvaha vasitau tadhiya sahajah kamsota sammanayanh एतौ सूततया गतः पतिरते व्योमोत्थया त्वद्गिरा अस्यास्त्वाम् अतिदुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः सन्त्रासात् स तु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमधात्. So we saw in the last class about there was still some residue karma that was left for a lot of the asuras, because of which a lot of atrocities were happening. So the devas go to Brahma, the Brahma then goes to Vishnu, and then he says, I will incarnate with my full power in the Yadava dynasty, in the Yadava Kula. And then we saw in the previous stanza how there was a marriage that was actually happening between Vasudeva and Devaki. That's what stanza 6 ended. So this Kamsa, so at the marriage has gotten over right now. So Vasudeva is now going with Devaki. They're entering the chariot. So Kamsa, who's like the cousin, we saw how Kamsa's father and Devaki's fathers are brothers. So he is like his sister. So he was the one who conducted the marriage, and he's very happy and very affectionate towards his sister. So he's the one who is now riding the chariot. He takes the reins. He tells the charioteer that I myself am going to be the Sarathi to drive Devaki and Vasudeva, and then he starts doing it. So at that time when he's doing it, then he hears a Ashariri Vak. Ashariri means the one that doesn't have a body. So you're hearing a voice, but you don't know where the voice is coming from, right? Nobody knows the body of it. So he's hearing that voice saying that, Kamsa, you are not only wicked, you are also foolish. The reason you are also foolish is because the person who you are loving so much and the person you are trying to protect so much and honor by taking her in the chariot is a Asyastwam Ati Dushtam Ashtama Suto. The eighth son that's going to be born to this particular person is going to be your murderer, is going to kill you. So he says you're not only wicked, you're also foolish, because how are you protecting such a person, right? Now, the demigods, wherever the voice is coming from, there is a reason that voice is coming, right? And we'll see it much later why that is, because people ask, why did that even have to tell Kamsa, right? Krishna could have just been born as the eighth son or the first son or a third son or whatever the number of son, and could have just gotten rid of Kamsa, right? Why even want to let him know, right? It's a long story which I won't tell now. So, but he's being told for a reason, right? So he then, when the moment he hears this, he's Kamsa who's driving it so affectionately, the moment he hears that his life is at risk, right? Then everything else goes for a toss. Then nothing else matters, right? At that point. So he immediately grabs Devaki's hair, and then he has a sword, right? So he then takes a sword and is about to kill Devaki in an instant, the moment he realizes that his life is in danger. So Udvaha Vasitau Tadiya Sahajaha, Kamsota Sammanayan. So put a in at the end of that line and comma. Next line, if you have an in and a ne, that becomes a. Etau sutataya gataha, put a f to join, gataf, pati rathe, comma, vyomothaya twadgira. Udvaha vasitau tadhiya sahajaha, kamsota sammanayanne, etau sutataya gataf patirate, vyomothaya twadgira.
उद्वाहावसितौ ततीयसहजः कंसोत सम्मानयन् एतौ सूततया गतः प्रतितरते व्योमोथया तुद्गिरा उद्वाहावसितौ ततीयसहजः कंसोत सम्मानयन् एतौ सूततया गतः प्रतिरते व्योमोथया तुद्गिरा
उद्वाहावसितौ तदीयसहजः कंसोदसम्मानयन् एतौ सूदतया गतः पतिरथे व्योमोथया त्वद्गिरा उद्वाहावसितौ तदीयसहजः कंसोदसम्मानयन् एतौ सूततया गतः पतिरथे व्योमोधया त्वद्गिरा.
And the gataha becomes gataf, the if sound.
Gataf.
Yeah. Asyas tvam ati dushtam, breaking at that ma, dushtam ashtama suto, comma, Hanteti hanteritah, comma, Santrasat satu hantum, breaking at the ma, hantum antika gatam tanvim kripanim adhat. So that last line is continuous. Asyastvam atidushtamashtamasuto hanteti hanteritah santrasat satu hantum antika gatam tanvim kripanim adhat.
अस्वास्त्वामति दुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः सान्द्रासात् स तु हन्तुमन्तिगत हन्तु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमतात् अस्वास्त्वामति दुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरितः सान्द्रासात् स तु हन्तुमन्तिकगतां तन्वीं कृपाणीमतात्.
Baiju, the third and fourth line, just the first two words. The third line, asyas, ya sound there.
Okay.
And then the fourth line is, you said santra, is santrasat.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
अस्यास्त्वाम् अधिदुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरतः सन्द्रासात् स तु हन्तुमन्ति गताम् तन्वीं कृपाणि मदात्.
The last line, hantum antika gatam.
Hantum, not ma, a.
Yeah, that is right way is to break it at the im there. The ma, you break it im and a there. So hantum antika gatam.
Okay. Hantum antigata. अस्यास्त्वाम् अतिदुष्टमष्टमसुतो हन्तेति हन्तेरतः सन्द्रासात् स तु हन्तुम् अन्तिगताम् तन्वीं कृपाणीमदात्.
Third line, last word, hanteritah.
Hanteritah. Okay.
Yeah. Stanza 8. गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां खलमतिः सौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोतयातो गृहान् आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देवपुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कदा. So instantly when Kamsa's behavior changed, right? So the one who was so loving and, trying to honor, instantly he's now ready to kill Devaki. So at that time, Vasudeva, who's standing next to Devaki, he's thinking, what should he do, right? So first he cannot fight Kamsa. So he's trying to say with his words, saying that, Kamsa, you are the Bhoja Raja, you are the lineage of Bhoja, right? In that lineage, and you are the pride of your family. And how can a qualified person like you, who's going to be the king next, kill a woman, right, who's unarmed, and that to kill his own sister, especially on the day of the marriage? He said that's not right for a person who's actually going to be a king, right? And he says a younger sister is like a daughter to you because you are the one who's helping organize a marriage. So it's as if you are like killing your own daughter. None of those words care. Kamsa doesn't care about anything right now. For him, he needs to get rid of Devaki, so the eighth son is not born, right? So what Vasudeva is thinking is, words are not pacifying Kamsa. He cannot fight Kamsa at this point. So the only thing he can do is to get away for today, right? So he says, Kamsa, you are worried about the children. This is what I'll do. All the children that is actually going to be born to Devaki, I will come and offer it to you. You decide, right? Because he wants to get away from today's problem. Because he's thinking something might change. Who knows what will happen tomorrow, right? Maybe Kamsa's mind will change. Maybe Kamsa will get killed in a battle. Or maybe the eighth son will indeed come and kill Kamsa. So he's like, this is destined. So Vasudeva is trying to get out of the problem right now. And he says that, that's fine, right? Any children that is born, I will come and hand it over to you. So Kamsa is like, fine, that makes logical sense, right, for now. And he is also moving. Then the first boys were Adyam Tvat Sahajam, your elder brother, O Guruvayurappa. The first person which is born is a boy. So that boy is born now, Vasudeva doesn't want to, go offer it to Kamsa because he's worried what's going to happen. But he does go because that's a promise. So he goes to Kamsa and then he says, this is the first child that is born. No, Kamsa is a mama, right? His uncle. So he's like looking at the small baby and said, how can I kill a small baby, right? A newborn baby, that to my sister's baby. So he says, that's fine. You know what? I won't do anything to this baby because I'm only concerned about the eighth one. That's why he says, even for dushtas, even for the people who are evil-minded, sometimes they have a karuna, sometimes they have some pity. So with that, Kamsa is letting the firstborn child go. Grinnanash chikureshu tam khalamatihi, sauresh chiram santvanaihi, visarga, Next line, the no will have a ir that goes away. No munchan punar atmajarpanagira. The only way you can break is a ra, otherwise the word comes continuously. So punar atmajarpanagira, pritota yato grihan. गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां खलमतिः सौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोतयातो गृहान्.
गृह्णानश्चिकुरितां फलमतिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्जन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोतयातो गृहान्. गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां फलमतिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्जन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोतयातो गृहान्.
गृह्णानाचिकिरेषु तां खलमतिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्जन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा प्रीतोत्थयातो गृहान्.
If in the first word, गृह्णानश् चिकुरेषु.
गृह्णानश्चिकुरेषु तां खलमतिः शौरेश्चिरं सान्त्वनैः नो मुञ्चन् पुनरात्मजार्पणगिरा पीतोत्तयातो गृहन्.
गृहान्.
गृहान्.
आद्यं त्वत् सहजं तथार्पितमपि, स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ, दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्ट करुणा, दृष्टा हि धीरे कदा. आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्ट करुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कदा.
आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नानन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कथा. आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तथार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नानन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कथा.
The last line after pushta karuna, there is a comma, okay? The fourth line.
Thank you.
आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तदार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कथा. आद्यं त्वत्सहजं तदार्पितमपि स्नेहेन नाहन्नसौ दुष्टानामपि देव पुष्टकरुणा दृष्टा हि धीरे कदा.
That's a name. तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारद मुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरं यूयं नन्वसुरासुराश्च यदवो जानासि किं न प्रभो मायावी स हरिर्भवद्वद कृते भावीसुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण यदूनधूदुनदसौ सौरेश्च सूनूनहन्. So anytime, like I always say, Narada was the greatest of devotee of Narayana, and the Narada's purpose is to spread the word of Narayana and also make sure that he has to clear the road for Narayana. Anytime something is going off script, then Narada has to come and then bring it back to script, right? So now he's saying Kamsa is supposed to get rid of 6 children, Krishna is going to be eighth. We'll see why only sixth much later. But Kamsa is supposed to get rid of six children. So if he doesn't get rid of it, then that story goes off. There's a reason that is happening. So he then has to go. He goes to Kamsa and says, Kamsa, you don't realize that, all of this, your group that is actually there, which is a big group. There's a group of Jarasandha, who's Kamsa's father-in-law, and all the Shishupala is going to be there, Dantavaktra, this is Salva. All of this is a big group that's going to be coming in Krishna Avataram. They're all one gang. So he says, all of you are on one side, that Hari is a Mayavi. So he's always looking to trick. Right, so you cannot assume that just because you let the first child go, he may say he's going to be the eighth child, but then he may become the second child, he may become the third child, he may even be the first child, right? So he says you can't trick all this, you cannot let this happen to you. You got to take care of yourself. So Narada says you cannot let all these things happen, and then Narada goes away. So when that happens, then Kamsa is now he's again worried, right? Because when the moment it is your life, then that's a priority for everything else. So what he does is, the first thing he does is he goes arrests Vasudeva and Devaki and puts them in jail, right? So, and one person in my previous batch asked a question, why did he not separate out Devaki and Vasudeva so they won't have any children in the future? Valid question, right? The reason is this, because how long can he keep them? He doesn't want to kill them because it's a sister and brother-in-law. If he had wanted to kill, he would have killed them anyways, right? He didn't want to kill them. So that discussion is off the table. Now, how long will he keep them separated? Who knows? They might still get, they might have a child. The problem, he wants to keep the enemy closer. So by keeping them closer, and every time the child is born, he'll instantly get notified when the child is born. Then he can go get rid of the child. So that's the reason he imprisons Devaki and Vasudeva and keeps them much closer to him. Instead of keeping them away separately, then he may not have control over it, right? Anyway, that is the logic, I think. But anyway, so the first child is born. He then puts Devaki and Vasudeva in prison. He then arrests his own father, right? He arrests his own father, also puts them, and he takes over the kingdom. And then he goes and kills the first child that's born. So, Tavat Tvanmanasaiva Narada Munihi, Proche sa Bhojeshwaram, Yuyam Nanvasuraha, put is to join, Nanvasuras, Surascha Yadavo, Janasi Kim na Prabho. Tavatvanmanasaiva Narada Munihi, Proche sa Bhojeshwaram, Yuyam Nanvasuras Surascha Yadavo, Janasi Kim na Prabho.
तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारदमुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरम् यूयं नन्वसुराः यतवो जानासि किं न प्रभो तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारदमुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरम् यूयं नन्वसुराः यतवो जानासि किं न प्रभो
तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारदमुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरम् यूयं नन्वसुरासुराश्च यदवो जानासि किं न प्रभो तावत्त्वन्मनसैव नारदमुनिः प्रोचे स भोजेश्वरम् यूयं नन्वसुरासुराश्च यदवो जानासि किं न प्रभो.
Rajeshri,
Yeah.
Is there a story like who those earlier kids?
Yeah, it will come later. So that's why I'm not telling it right now because there's a context to why that story is going to come later. So, Mayavi sa harir bhavat vadakrite, bhavi sura prarthanat. This is it. You put at the end of that line, sura prarthanat. Next line, the D becomes a E. Ityakarnya Yaduna Dudhuna Dasau. Cannot break that word. You have to say that word the way it is right now. Yaduna Dudhuna Dasau, Shaureshcha Sununahan.
So there's a comma after Surapradhanat.
Yeah, at the end of that line. Yeah, Bhavi Surapradhan. End of that line. मायावी स हरिर्भवद्वधकृते भावीसुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्य यदूनदूधुनदसौ शौरेश्च सूनूनहन्
मायावी सहरिर्भवद्वतकृते भावी सुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्ययतु न दूतु न तसौ शौरेश्च सूनुनहन् मायावी हरिर्भवद्वतकृते भावी सुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्ययतु न दूतु न तसौ शौरेश्च सूनुनहन्
मायावी सहरिर्भवद्वदकृते भावीसुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्य यदूनदसौ शौरे च सूनूनहन् मायावी सहरिर्भवद्वदकृते भावीसुरप्रार्थनात् इत्याकर्ण्य यदूनदनुसौ शौरे च सूनूनहन्
प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भतामहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणान्मायया नीते माधवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित्सुखैकात्मकः देवक्या झठरं विवेशितविभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः स त्वं कृष्णविदूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे. So with this, 6 children Kamsa gets rid. The first 6 were all born as boys. All the first 6 children, Kamsa gets rid of them. And then he's just waiting. Then the seventh boy is now going to be born to Devaki. So when the seventh boy is actually being born to Devaki, so at that time, there's another wife of Vasudeva called as Rohini. That Rohini is staying with a person called Nandagopa and Yashoda. So Rohini is, because he has 2 wives. So the second wife is staying there. But even at that time, even though Vasudeva is in the prison, they get to meet. So in case you have a question of how did Rohini get pregnant, so they get to meet. So, so that Rohini is staying in a different place, which is about like an hour and a half away, right? That's where Gokulam she's staying in. This is all happening in Madura. So that Rohini also gets pregnant at the same time. So at that time, that person who's actually the seventh son who's now born here, what happens is he's transferring with the Yoga Maya's power. That child is actually getting transferred to Rohini. So Rohini now becomes pregnant. So Rohini is there, but she's also was pregnant, but the body gets transferred there. So while Devaki is pregnant with the seventh child, that child gets transferred. This consciousness or the soul of the child gets transferred to Rohini's womb. So there's a child that's going to be born there. Here, Devaki, because the child's soul has already left, that baby is born as a still baby or a dead baby with the moment it is born, right? It's a premature, action because the child is not actually born. They end up telling Kamsa the baby got aborted, because something went wrong, the baby got aborted. So Kamsa is keeping track. Okay, 6 children I have killed. Seventh child never actually took birth out of Devaki. It got aborted. And then he doesn't know what happened, but the baby actually got transferred over to Rohini, which is Adishesha being born as Balarama, who's now getting transferred over to Rohini's womb. So with that, the seventh child is taken care of. So now when the time is right, Krishna, you enter Devakya Jhataram. You then enter into the womb of Devaki, getting ready for the right time so that you can be born. So that Guru Arapa, please get Roga Patalim, eradicate my ailments, and Bhaktim Param Dehime. Please give me supreme devotion towards you. With that, this Dashakam comes to an end. Prapte Saptama Garbhatam Ahipatau, comma. So here Ahi refers to snake. So king of snakes, which means Balarama Adishesha. So he's coming into as a seventh child. Garbhatam Ahipatau, comma. Twat Preranan Mayaya, put a plus. Nite Madhava Rohineem, comma, then a comma. So first line after Ahipatau, comma, and then the entire thing continues. Rohineem, comma. Twamapi Bhoho, put a is, bhos. सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भतामहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणान्मायया नीते माधवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः
प्राप्ते गर्भतामहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणान्मायया गीते माधवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः प्राप्ते प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भतामहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणान्मायया नीते मातवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः
प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भताम् अतिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणात् मायया नीते माधवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः
Devi, on the first line, Garbhatam Ahipatav, ha sound.
गर्भताम् अहिपतौ
Yeah.
ओके प्राप्ते सप्तमगर्भताम् अहिपतौ त्वत्प्रेरणामायया नीते माधवरोहिणीं त्वमपि भोः सच्चित् सुखैकात्मकः
First line, last word, Tvat Preranan, in. Do you have the in there?
No.
Okay.
त्वत्प्रेरणान् मायया
Yeah, Tvat Preranan, in. In case you have a it, change it to an in. It becomes the in because of the ma later. So, Devakya Jataram Viveshita Vibho, comma, Samstuyamanaha, put a is to join, Samstuyamanas Suraihi, comma, Sa Tvam Krishna Vidhuya Roga Patalim, comma, Bhaktim Param Dehi Me. Devakya Jataram Viveshita Vibho Samstuyamanas Suraihi Sa Tvam Krishna Vidhuya Roga Patalim Bhaktim Param Dehi Me.
देवक्या जठरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्त्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे देवक्या जठरं विवेशित विभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्त्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे
देवक्या जडरं विवेशितविभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्त्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपटिलीं भक्तिं परां देहि मे
Patalim, Roga Patalim.
रोगपटलीं देवक्या जडरं विवेशितविभो संस्तूयमानः सुरैः सत्त्वं कृष्ण विधूय रोगपटलीं भक्तिं परा देहि मे
Last Param, Param Dehi Me.
Oh, I thought I said that, but okay.
No, yeah. Okay. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dasakam 38, Krishna Avatara Varnana. आनन्दरूप भगवन्नयिते वतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीप्त भवदङ्गनिरीयमानैः कान्तिव्रजैरिव घनागनमण्डलैढ्याम् आवृण्वती विरुरुचे किल वर्षवेला. So Devaki is now carrying Krishna in her womb, right? So even otherwise, when women are pregnant, there is a glow to the woman's face, right? They look hair is growing nicely because it's nourishing the baby. There's a glow. In Devaki's case, she's just absolutely glowing. So like everybody who's there, when Kamsa comes and looks, he can say that there is something in Devaki this time which is going to be different. And he has a feeling, yes, it is right. The Ashtama Sutta, the eighth son who they kept telling, it is indeed this son who's going to be born because there's something special in this baby. That Devaki is glowing, she's illuminating the jail chambers, right? And he's now, Kamsa is pretty confident. But he's also careful because he doesn't want to kill Devaki when she's pregnant, right? So he's like holding off because he knows this is going to be the one. So even Vasudeva is also feeling that energy which is there. So all of that. So Devaki and Vasudeva are still in jail. So at that time, when the appropriate time comes, right? So at that day, it was a night, it was a rainy day. So it was just raining, very dark, and it was just dark clouds outside. And Bhattaripad is comparing, saying that the dark, Krishna, your color is that rain-bearing clouds color. So when there's a clouds are outside and there is a lightning which is actually striking, he says that reminds me of you, your face, which is that color, and your beauty is showing up in the lightning. So all of this is setting up the right time for you to be born. So it is right now we're coming to the rainy day night, and there's no dark clouds and it's just pouring, and that's the day right now. Ananda Rupa Bhagavannai Tevatare, Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriyamanaihi Kante Brajairiva Ghana Mandalair Dhyam, put a im at the end of that line and comma, Mandalair Dhyam. Ghana Mandalai means it's dark, thick dark clouds. Mandalair Dhyam, comma. Next line, the ma becomes a. Avrinvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela. Anandarupa Bhagavannaite Vatare Prapte Pradipta Bhavadanga Niriyamanaihi Kantivrajairiva Ghana Mandalaidhyam Avrunvati Viruruche Kila Varshavela.
Ajashchi Niriyamānaihi Nana.
Na, second na.
Na.
Manaihi, yeah.
Okay.
आनन्दरूप भगवन्नैतेवतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीप्तभवतङ्कनिरीयमाणैः कान्तिव्रजैरिव खनाखनमण्डलैर्ध्याम् आवृण्वति विरुरुचे किल वर्षवेला आनन्दरूप भगवन्नैतेवतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीप्तभवतङ्कनिरीयमाणैः कान्तिव्रजैरिव खनाखनमण्डलैर्ध्याम् आवृण्वति विरुरुचे किल वर्षवेला.
ராஜேஷ்,
Yeah.
அந்த ரெண்டு விரு ருச்ச வந்து ரெண்டுமே ஒரே ரூ தானா? ரூ லாங் ரூ.
ரெண்டுமே ஷார்ட். விரு ருச்சே.
விரு ருச்சே. ஓகே.
Yeah.
आनन्दरूप भववन्नै देवतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीप्तभवदङ्गनिरीयमाणैः कान्तिव्रजैरिव घनाघनमण्डलैर्ध्याम् आवृण्वति विरुरुचे किल वर्षवेला.
विरुरुचे
किल वर्षवेला. आनन्दरूप भववन्नै देवतारे प्राप्ते प्रदीत भवदङ्ग निरीयमाणैः कान्तिव्रजैरव घनाघनमण्डलैर्ध्याम् आवृण्वति विरुरुचे किल वर्षवेला.
The third line, Devi, first word mattum brajai, I sound. Brajairiva.
Which one? Oh, the Kantivrjairiva.
Yeah, Kanti, shorty, Kanti Vrajairiva.
Okay.
Stanza 2. Asha sushitalatara supayodato yehi Asha sitapti vivashesu cha sajjaneshu Naisha karodaya vidhau nishimadhyamayam Klesha pahastri jagatam tomiha virasihi. So, like when we were talking, about in Dasakam 11, when Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were being born, when Diti was carrying them in her womb, it talked about how all the evil omens and all the dark things that were actually enveloping the world, the Devas were worried, right? So in this case, when Krishna is about to be born, there is somehow like a surcharge of positive energy everywhere, right? It's just a lot of positivity. So everybody, the people who were actually worried about Kamsa's atrocities, suddenly they are beginning to feel that something positive is going to happen. They're feeling a calmness in their hearts, right? And everything is just positivity all over, and all of that is happening. So when Rohini Nakshatram was at the peak at the midnight on that night when the heavy rain was coming, you, Gurvarpa, you then take avataram as Krishna. Tvam avirasihi. You then take an incarnation as Krishna. Of course, Krishna name is not given at that time. So at the peak, midnight, at Rohini at its peak, you then appear on this earth as Krishna. Ashasu Shitala Tarasu Payoda Toyehi. That's what the rain which came has cooled. So that is also another thing, right? All the heat that was there from all the atrocities, it's an indicator of all the cooling that's going to happen. So which means the rain has cooled down and the earth was cool at the time you appear. Payoda Toyehi. So put a visarga comma. Next line, the Ra becomes a. Ashasi tapti vivasheshu cha sajjaneshu. Naishakorodaya vidhau nishi madhyamayam, comma, kleshapahas trijagatam tvamiha virasihi. Asha sushitalatarasu payodato yehi. Asha sitapti vivasheshu cha sajjaneshu. Naishakorodaya vidhau nishi madhyamayam. Kleshapahastri jagatam tumiha virasihi.
आशासु शीतलतरासु पयोदतोयैः आशीताप्तिविवशेषु च सज्जनेषु नैषाकरोदयविधौ निशि मध्यमायां क्लेशापहस्त्रिजगतां त्वमिह विरासीः
Tvamiha virasihi.
त्वमिहा विरासीः आशासु शीतलतरासु पयोदतोयैः आशासिताप्तिविवशेषु च सज्जनेषु नैषाकरोदयविधौ निशिमध्यमायां क्लेशापहस्त्रिजगतां त्वमिह विरासीः
आशासु शीतलतरासु पयोदतोहैः आशासिताप विवशेषु च सज्जनेषु नैषाकरोदयविधौ निशि मध्यमाया क्लेशापहस्त्रजगतां त्वमिह विरासीः.
And the last line, kleshapahastri jagatam.
Hastri.
Three. Kleshapahas tri jagatam means all the three words. Tri jagatam tumiha virasi. And the first line, last word, Devi, toyaihi.
Padodatoyaihi.
Payoda toyaihi.
Payoda.
Yeah.
आशासु शीतलतरासु पयोदतोहैः आशासिताप्तविवशेषु च सज्जनेषु नैषाकरोदयविधौ निशि मध्यमायां क्लेशापहस्त्रिजगतां त्वमिहा विरासीः.
And the first line again, toyaihi.
Oh, I didn't say that.
You're saying ha. I'm hearing a ha sound there. Payod.
Payodattoyaihi.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. Okay, we'll switch halfway. Sita, you can be student, and Divya, you can be student. Okay, so we're going to do the text which is sent on WhatsApp. If you have it ready, that's what we're going to do first. So that is the birth of Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, Dashamaskandam, 3rd chapter of 10th canto. And that is what is condensed in the 3rd stanza of Narayaneeyam, which is coming next, right?
Rajesh, I don't have my phone with me. My daughter is taking a class.
Oh, okay. Okay, that one Sita can do, and then you do from the Narayaneeyam.
Okay.
तमद्भुतं बालकमम्बुजेक्षणं चतुर्भुजं शङ्खगदायुधायुधं श्रीवत्सलक्ष्मं गलशोभिकौस्तुभं पीताम्बरं सान्द्रपयोदसौभगं महार्घवैडूर्यकिरीटकुण्डलत्विषा परिष्वक्त सहस्रकुन्तलम् उद्दामकाञ्चङ्गदकङ्कणादिभिः विरोचमानं वसुदेव ऐक्षत. I don't think anybody has given a better description of a newborn baby like that is given here. Say Vasudeva Aikshata. So when the baby is born, like normally when the baby is born, the baby is small, baby is crying, and and it's got blood and everything all over. But this baby is not like that because this is a tam adbhutam bhalakam. Says you are like a great wonder baby, because of which when you are born, you are actually born with your beautiful description here. We'll go word by word. Tama adbhutam bhalakam, great bhalakam, which is adbhutam. Ambujekshanam means the eyes which are actually resembling the petals of a lotus. Chaturbhujam, you're already born with 4 hands. So not like 2 hands like regular baby. Chaturbhujam. Each of that having a shanka, having a conch shell, a gada, having a club, adi, having a discus, and all the lotus. So all of that is there in each of the 4 hands. And then Srivatsa Lakshman. So he's having a Srivatsa mark on your chest, indicating that you are Swayam Narayana, who is actually being born here. Galashobi Kaustubam, on your neck, you have the Kaustuba mani, which is actually there. Pitambaram, the garments you are wearing are pita, yellow in color. So yellow color garments which are there. Then Sandra Payoda Saubhagam, your body is that of a dark gray rain-bearing cloud. Not blue, not white, not black, right? So it's a dark, when it's raining outside and you go look at the sky and the clouds are dark gray in color, that's the color at which you are actually born. Galashobi Kaustubam. Then Maharha Vaidurya, so you're having this, beautiful, earrings which are actually there. And, a kankanam, you're wearing an adorned and all of that. So with this beautiful form of yours, Vasudeva and Devaki are seeing you in front. So it's not born as a small baby, is born as a full-formed person who's actually standing in front of them. And there's going to be a long conversation about it, which I'll wait for it. So that is how Vasudeva is seeing the baby right now, or not a baby, the newborn at this point. Okay, so we'll just break this one. Let me open up on my phone 1 sec. Yeah. So tam adbhutam balakam ambujekshanam, chaturbhujam shanka gadadyudayudam. So you cannot break that word too much. So gadadyudayudam, if you want to break it, the dya into it and ya. Gadadyudayudam. Srivatsa Lakshmam Gala Shobhi Kaustubham, Pitambaram Sandra Payoda Saubhagam. Tamadbhutam Balakam Ambujekshanam Chaturbhujam Shanka Gadadyudhayudham Srivatsa Lakshmam Galashobhi Kaustubham Pitambaram Sandra Payoda Saubhagam.
तमद्भुतं बालकमम्बुजेक्षणं चतुर्भुजं शङ्खगदायुधायुधं श्रीवत्सलक्ष्मं गलक्षोभिकौस्तुभं पीताम्बरं सान्द्रपयोदसौभगम्. तमद्भुतं बालकमम्बुजेक्षणं
Chaturbhujam.
चतुर्भुजं शङ्खगदायुधायुधं श्रीवत्सलक्ष्मं गलशोभिकौस्तुभं पीताम्बरं सान्द्रपयोदसौभगम्.
तमद्भुतं बालकमम्बुजेक्षणं चतुर्भुजं शङ्खगदायुधायुधं श्रीवत्सलक्ष्मं गलशोभिकौस्तुभं पीताम्बरं चन्द्रपयोदसौभगम्. Saubhagam.
Last word, Sandra Payoda Saubhagam.
Chandra Payoda Saubhagam.
2 times.
Tamadbhutam Bala Kamambujekshanam Chaturbhujam Shankagadaryudayudam Srivatsalakshman Kalashobhikaustubam Pitambaram Chandra Payoda Saubhagam.
Maharha Vaidurya.
Rajesh, just one question. And the second slogath kapparama Narayana Narayana 16 times solonu potrukku.
Correct. I forgot to say that. Yeah, just add you see, we'll say Narayana 16 times. We won't do it in the class, but normally in the part. If you know the style, Narayana, 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 Narayana. Narayana, 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 Narayana. 16 times, and then we'll say, thanks, Priyam, for reminding. Maharha, Vaidurya, Kirita, Kundala, then put a plus, Tvisha, Parishvakta, Sahasra, Kuntalam. So those 2 lines are together. Uddhama Kanchengada Kankanadibihi. So Visarga at the end of that line. Kankanadibihi, comma. Next on the Virocha, there is a ir at the top that goes away. Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. If you're following English, then it will have the Kankanadibir, right? That ir will go away, Visarga will come. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchangada Kankanadibihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
Srakuntalam.
Sorry, Sita, I think my connection briefly, I lost it. So, yeah, do you mind saying it again? Sorry.
Yeah. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam. Maharha Vaidurya.
Next, Uddama.
Uddhama Kanchangada Kankanadibir Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
And then the bir bihi, it will become, because we are pausing there. Kankanadi bihi.
Okay. Uddhama Kanchandaga. Sorry, Rajesh, நீங்க சொல்லும்போது எனக்கு டிஸ்டர்ப் ஆயிடும் வரல. So உத்தர நீங்க சொல்றீங்களா?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think you missed to tell those 2 lines.
Oh, you did? Oh, I said it. Or maybe my connection got cut. I thought I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. No worries. Sorry. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchiangada. So Kanchi Angada. Kanchiangada Kankanadibihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
Okay. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddama Kanchangada Kankanadibhi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata. Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchangada Kankanadibihi Virochamanam Vasudeva Aikshata.
Rajesh, sorry, one quick question. Second line, that is in the continuation, Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kuntalama Kuntalatam.
Ta sound, TH, and the English, it's not correct. Kuntalam. Ta, first ta.
Kuntalam.
Kuntalam. TH. Yeah, Divya, go ahead.
महार्हवैडूर्य किरीटा कुण्डल त्विषा परिष्वक्त सहस्रकुन्तलम् उद्दाम काञ्च्यन् गद कङ्कणादिभिः विरोचमानं वसुदेव ऐक्षत.
அதே மாதிரி அந்த sorry one second அந்த first second the first line of this one, why do not da, and the English is written wrong as d, it is a dh, why durya.
महार्हवैदूर्य किरीटा कुण्डल त्विषा परिष्वक्त सहस्रकुन्तलम् उद्दाम कञ्चन यङ्गद कङ्कणादिभिः विरोचमानं वसुदेव ऐक्षत.
Third line, kanchya sound, kanchyangada.
काञ्च्यङ्गद
Yeah.
कङ्कणादिभिः.
Okay, now we'll switch back to the Narayaneeyam text. So stanza 3 in Narayaneeyam is the same, is exactly the same thing, just a condensed version of what we just chanted.
ராஜேஷ்ஜி ஒரு என்னோட புக்ல வந்து இனி ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா 2 லைன் இருக்கு, தேவக்யாம் தேவ ரூபிண்யாம்னு.
இல்ல அது வந்து I think it's just extra stanzas from Bhagavatam இருக்கும். So we generally do only 2 stanzas from there, which is normal. Maybe your book has extra stanzas from Bhagavatam. बाल्यस्पृशापि वपुषा धदुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकटकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्कारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः. Exact same thing. So the Sutigehe, that the chamber, the jail where Vasudeva and Devaki are, that is lit up with you being there, standing in front of Vasudeva and Devaki in this form. Balya sprishapi vapusha dhadusha vibhutihi. So put a visarga comma, vibhutihi. Next line, the ru becomes a u.
Rajesh, vibhutihi, long T or short T?
Long T. Vibhutihi, long T. Next, the ru becomes a u. Udyat kirita katakangada hara bhasa shankari varija gada paribhasitena, comma, meghasitena parilesita suti gehe. बाल्यस्पृशापि वपुषा धदुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकटकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्खारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः.
बाल्यस्पृशापि वपुषा ददुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकनकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्खारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः. बाल्यस्पृशापि वपुषा ददुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकनकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्खारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः.
बालस्पृशापि वपुषा ददुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकटकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्कारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः. बाल्यास्पृशापि वपुषा ददुषा विभूतिः उद्यत् किरीटकटकाङ्गदहारभासा शङ्कारिवारिजगदा परिभासितेन मेघासितेन परिलेसितसूतिगेः.
वक्षस्थली सुकनिलीन विलासी लक्ष्मी मंदाक्ष लक्षित कटाक्ष विमोक्ष भेदैः तन्मन्दिरस्य कलखं सकृताम् अलक्ष्मीं Unmarjayanniva virejita Vasudeva. So Vasudeva is seeing here, like we saw continuation from the previous one. So it's not a small baby. There is a proper form which is actually standing in front of him in this. So the moment, so imagine like, you think a baby is born and somebody is standing here with Chaturbhujam in front of you. First of all, if we are not ready for it, we won't get a darshan anyways, right? So if you get a darshan, that means you're ready for it. So but he's also, even Vasudeva is shocked because he's thinking, how is it that he can see that this is not a child? Right? Because it's not a child anyways. So his first wonder is, I thought Devaki was giving birth to a baby. How is this somebody like in this form, a Bhagavan has come? Now he knows it is the Chaturbhujam Bhagavan. Why? Because he and Devaki have been worshipping an idol, which I said in the first class of Narayaneeyam. I said, when Krishna sends an idol, when Dwaraka is getting flooded to Uddhava, that is the idol which was worshipped by Vasudeva and Devaki, previously by Aditi and Kashyapa, and before that by Prishni Garbha, which was originally worshipped by Brahma, which eventually ends up in Guruvai. So that is a Chaturbhujam. So the moment he sees that, he knows it is Bhagavan. But he's not expecting that, right? He has no idea this is going to happen. So first of all, he's worried, how did Bhagavan come into this cell right now, into a prison, right? Why will he do that? Second, how did he come out of the womb of Devaki? That is another thing. What has Devaki done? What has Vasudeva done to have a baby who's in the form of Krishna standing, in the Guru Narayana standing in front of them? And plus, he's seeing this baby is fully decorated, all decked up with all the Shankh, Chakram and everything. And so he's just completely he doesn't know what to do. He's going to have a conversation right now. But the first view he gets, he doesn't know what to do. But the most important thing Bhattaripad is saying is, Krishna, wherever you are there, you are always accompanied by Lakshmi. Lakshmi Devi, who is sitting on your bosom, in your chest. The moment she comes there and she opens her eyes, that entire area is flooded with kataksham. So, whatever that inauspiciousness that was actually there because of Kamsa, Kala Kamsa Kritam Alakshmi, all that inauspiciousness goes away and that place is filled with auspiciousness, and Vasudeva is looking at Krishna right now. So Vakshaha, put is Vakshas Sthali Sukha Nilina Vilasi, short E, Lakshmi, long E. So Vilasi, Lakshmi, put a plus, Mandaksha, Lakshita, Kataksha, Vimoksha, Bhedaihi. So those two lines are together. Tan Mandirasya Khala Kamsa Kritam, breaking at that ma, Kritam Alakshmim, put a im at the end of that line, Kritam Alakshmim, comma. Next word mu becomes a u, Unmarjayanniva Virejita Vasudeva. So in Dasakam,
Rajesh,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. When we have that ksha with visarga, don't we spell it out, or we just
Yeah, but there's no visarga here, right? Where do you have the visarga?
the vakshasthali?
No, the ksha has to come later. Here the ksha is coming before. The sa is coming later, right? Stali is coming later. So that way it becomes the is sound there. If ksha is coming later, after the visarga, then you say the visarga. Okay. Here the ksha is before that. That's right. So in the second Dasakam, there was one thing which said, Bhattaripad says that, he says Mahalakshmi is very fickle-minded. She doesn't stay even in the house of her own devotees. Because she always goes where Narayana goes, right? So that is the other thing. She's always accompanying Narayana. So wherever Narayana is there, Mahalakshmi is automatically there. So when Krishna is born, she's also born along with him. Yeah. Tan Mandiras, okay, we did that, okay. Bhakshasthali Sukanilina Vilasi Lakshmi Mandaksha Lakshita Kataksha Vimoksha Bhedaihi Tanmandirasya Khalakam Sakritam Alakshmim Unmarjayanniva Virejita Vasudeva.
वक्षस्थली सुखनिलीन विलासी लक्ष्मी मंदाक्ष लक्षित कटाक्ष विमोक्ष भेदैः तन्मन्दिरस्य खलकंसकृताम् अलक्ष्मीम् उन्मार्जयन्निव विरेजितवासुदेव वक्षस्थली सुखनिलीनविलासि लक्ष्मी मन्दाक्षलक्षितकटाक्षविमोक्षभेदैः तन्मन्दिरस्य खलकंसकृताम् अलक्ष्मीम् उन्मार्जयन्निव विरेजितवासुदेव
वक्षस्थली सुखनिलीनविलासि लक्ष्मी मण्डाक्षलक्षितकटाक्षविमोक्षभेदैः तन्मन्दिरस्य कलाकंसकृतामलक्ष्मीम् उन्मार्जयन्निव विरेजितवासुदेव.
Third line, khala. I think I heard a sound extra there. Just khala comes.
Okay. वक्षस्थली सुखनिलीनविलासि लक्ष्मी मण्डाक्षलक्षितकटाक्षविमोक्षभेदैः तन्मन्दिरस्य कलकंसकृतामलक्ष्मीम् उन्मार्जयन्निव विरेजितवासुदेव.
Stanza 4. शौरिस्तु धीरमुनिमण्डलचेतसोऽपि दूरस्थितं वपुरुदीक्ष निजेक्षणाभ्याम् आनन्दबाष्पपुलकोद्गमगद्गदार्द्रः तुष्टावदृष्टिमकरन्धरसम्भवन्तम्. So it says that, this real form of yours, even the greatest of sages, they do so many tapas. People do so many austerities and prayers and do all of that. Nobody gets to see Bhagavan, right? Nobody gets to see the Lord. So when Vasudeva is seeing it, he's wondering, what have I done that I am actually getting a real live darshan of Bhagavan? So the moment he's actually seeing it, Ananda Bhashpa, he's actually getting horripilation all over his bodies, right? Out of just excitement, out of ecstasy. And then he's actually having tears coming out of his eyes because he's seeing the form of the Bhagavan, and he does a big stuti. It's not here, it is there in Bhagavatam, but he does a big stuti doing prayers. So there are only a couple of times where the parents do a prayer and do namaskarams to the son. One of them happened when Vamana was born. At the time, Kashyapa and Aditi did it. Then to some extent to Kapila, Devahuti and Kardama did it because they knew that's also incarnation. Here Vasudeva and Devaki, each of them do a stuti because they know it is Bhagavan himself who has come, one being born to them. Shauristu Dhira Muni Mandala Chetasopi, Dura Sthitham Vapurudikshya Nijekshanabhyam Ananda Bashpa Pulakod Gama Gad Gadardraha. Add a visarga at the end. Gadardraha. Visarga comma. Next, the is goes away. Tushtava Drishti Makaranda Rasam Bhavantam. Shauristu Dhira Munimandala Chetasopi Durastitam Vapurudiksha Nijekshanabhyam Ananda Bashpa Pulakodgamagad Gadardraha Tushtavadrishti Makaranda Rasam Bhavantam.
शौरिस्तु धीरमुनिमण्डलचेतसोऽपि दूरस्थितं वपुरुदीक्ष्य निजेक्षणाभ्याम् आनन्दबाष्पपुलकोद्गमगद्गदार्द्रः तुष्टावदृष्टिमकरन्दरसम्भवन्तम्. शौरिस्तु धीरमुनिमण्डलचेतसोऽपि दूरस्थितं वपुरुदीक्ष्य निजेक्षणाभ्याम् आनन्दबाष्पपुलकोद्गमगद्गदार्द्रः तुष्टावदृष्टिमकरन्दरसम्भवन्तम्.
सौरिष्टु धीरमुनिमण्डलचेतसोऽपि दूरस्थितं वपुरुदीक्ष निजेक्षणाभ्याम् आनन्दबाष्पपुलकोद्गमगद्गदार्द्रः
Makaranda Rasam.
मकरन्दररसं भवन्तम् सौरिष्टुधीरमुनिमण्डलचेतसोऽपि दूरस्थितं वपुरुदीक्षय निजेक्षणाभ्याम् आनन्दबाष्पपुलकोद्गमगद्गदार्द्रः तुष्टावदृष्टिमकरन्दरसं भवन्तम्.
Right. If you want to break that word, just take 3 parts there. Drishti Makaranda Rasam Bhavantam.
Shri Makarandara.
Makaranda Rasam Bhavantam.
Okay.
Rasam is just nectar, it's just sweet.
Yeah.
Stanza 6.
Makaranda Rasam.
Deva Prasida Parapurushatapavallhi Nirlunadhatra Samanetra Kala Vilasin Khedana Kripa Gurubih Katakshaihi Ityaditena Muditena Chiram Nuto Bhuhu. Little bit of the stuti that Vasudeva does. He does his prayers, but there's also a conversation. So at this point, like Vasudeva, Devaki, and it'll go in order. First Vasudeva is going to talk, then Devaki is going to talk. So they are a little bit, confused right now. When something is like this is happening, do you treat this person as God or do you treat this person as a child? Right? Their own child, because supposedly it's their child who is born, right? So they are always torn, in as to how to do this. So they do end up doing both. So first Vasudeva does a stuti saying you are God, right? He does namaskarams. Then he also thinks, but it's my child. You're being born as my child. So when you're born as my child, then Vasudeva is worried this Kamsa is going to come and kill. He's already killed 6 of my children, right? So he's now addressing also in that way, right? He's saying that Lord, you have come to my house, you're being born to me, right? I'm sure your purpose of your birth is to protect everybody. And, you're going to take care of all of these things and you have come to get rid of all of the evil. But he says, but if Kamsa comes to know that, you have been born because there's a prophecy that is actually there that the 8th person going to kill Kamsa. So which means he's already killed all of your other brothers. He's already killed 6 of your brothers. So the moment Kamsa comes to hear that you are born, he's going to come to kill you also, right? So Vasudeva is now worried, So with that, he says, at the same time, he's also saying, please, with your kataksham, you eliminate all the sorrows I have. So he's speaking on both sides. He's saying, you're a Bhagavan. I'm doing my namaskaram and prostrations to you. Please eradicate all the evil things and eliminate all the sorrows I have. At the same time, he's also worried, saying that the moment Kamsa comes to know you are come, he's going to come to fight with you. So Vasudeva doesn't know what to do. Deva Prasida Parapurusha Tapavalli, short, long E, put a plus, Nirluna Datra, Samanetra Kala Vilasin. So those 2 lines together. Khedana Pakuru Kripa Guru Bihi, put a ih, Guru Bih, Katakshaihi, Visarga comma, Katakshaihi. Next line, the re becomes a e. Ityadi tena muditena chiram nuto bhuhu. Chiram means long time. You praised him for a really long time. Deva prasida parapurushatapavallhi nirluna dhatra samanetra kala vilasin khedana pakuru kripa gurubih katakshaihi ityaditena muditena chiram nuto bhuhu.
Deva prasida parapurushatapavallhi nirlunidatra samanetra kalavilasin khedana pakuru kripa gurubih katakshaihi ityaditena muditena chiram nuto bhuhu.
The second line, nirluna datra. I heard a ni sound there, just nirluna.
Inga ni potrukku.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think just a nad. Nirluna datra.
Okay. Deva prasida parapurushatapavallhi nirlunadatra samanetra kalavilasin khedana pakuru kripa gurubih katakshaihi ityaditena muditena chiram nuto bhuhu.
Deva prasida parapurusha tapavallhi nirlunadatra samanetra kala vilasin खेदानपाकुरु कृपा गुरुभिः कटाक्षैः इत्यादि तेन मुदितेन चिरं नुतो भूः.
The first word, deva prasid.
देव प्रसीद परपुरुष तापवल्ली निर्लूनदात्र समनेत्र कलाविलासिन् खेदानपाकुरु कृपा गुरुभिः कटाक्षैः इत्यादि तेन मुदितेन चिरं नुतो भूः.
On the first line, Divya, when the pu is a long u and ru is a short u. Para, pu, rusha.
परपूरुष.
So 7. Matra chanetra salila sritagatra valya stotrairabhishtuta gunah karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgiradhadita manushabhalavesham. So next Devaki is doing Abhishtu, that means to praise. So Devaki is doing a stuti next, right? And she's also in tears, and she's also doing the exact same thing that Vasudeva this. She says, you Krishna or you oh Lord have to protect us from the son of Ugrasena Kamsa because he's been doing all of these atrocities, right? And then he's saying, she's now telling, because mother telling to a child. So she's always having that motherly instincts. He's saying that this form of yours, which is meditated by the greatest of sages, she says that I am afraid that if moment Kamsa comes, he's going to harm you. So she's saying, I want to make sure that you become, this form of yours becomes invisible to all of those people who have material instincts like Kamsa does, right? She says, don't reveal this thing or form of yours, right? And he says, and let Kamsa also not know that you were born out of me, because she's worried that Kamsa is going to come and kill. So to some extent, that motherly instinct, she's not realizing that it's Bhagavan himself, Kamsa cannot do. And she's still worried as a mother, saying that, please, that Kamsa, the moment he knows that you have come out of my womb, he's going to kill you. So she says, you suddenly disappear out of here or do something, so that Kamsa doesn't come and actually hurt you, right? And then she says, this form of yours with Chaturbhujam is not suitable, because imagine if Krishna was walking around with Chaturbhujam, right, everywhere. So she says people cannot relate. People do not understand this greatness of your form, right, which everybody meditates on. So she says you take on your human form. Take a human form. Don't take this form. So at that time, Krishna then at that time reveals to Devaki and Vasudeva why he took a Chaturbhujam form. Why was he not born as a baby, right, like any other baby? So he says, Prachina Janma Yugalam. So he goes and says that in the Swayambhuva Manu Manmantarai, the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, at the time when Brahma was doing all the creation, he says there were two beings. One was called as Sutapa, that is the name of a rishi, and his wife called as Prishni. So the Sutapa and Prishni, he says, they did extreme amount of tapas. Tapas means like in scorching heat, in rain, and in wind that was there, in severe cold climates. And then they were able to control their prana vayu. They were doing all this Ashtanga Yoga meditation, and they did all these things that thousands of years passed, and all they did was just meditation. Both husband and wife did meditation. So when Bhagavan came in front of them and asked, what do you want? Now, you can ask what you want. You can say, I want to get liberated. I want whatever. He said, we want you to be born to us as our children 3 times. That's what they asked for. So he says in the first time to that, Sutapas and Prishni, Bhagavan was born as Prishni Garbha. So Prishni, mother's name Prishni, Garbha means born from the Garbha of Prishni. So Prishni Garbha, that was the first incarnation. The second incarnation, they both took birth as Kashyapa and Aditi. So to Kashyapa and Aditi, I was born to you all as Vamana. That's why in the Vamana Avataram in 30th Dasakam also, Bhagavan shows Kashyapa and Aditi the Chaturbhujam form, saying that I am that Bhagavan who was born to you, right? To remind you that you had asked about this in your earlier birth, right? And now you are being born for the 3rd time. So it's not like some luck that Vasudeva and Devaki got Krishna as their child, right? It was all as a historic precedence to that they have actually done the tapas, they deserved it, and that was what was going to happen. So he says, that's why I'm coming and revealing this form to you, just to remind you that I had promised you I'm going to be born to you. And that promise is getting met now for the third time. And then having shown that it is you who has gone through. So he's telling them their own history, their own previous births and everything, and saying that having shown that you then took on Manusha Balavesham. Then you just became a small baby now. So that form is gone now. That is only to show Vasudeva and Devaki that this is me, Narayana, who is taking birth again, and it's to you who have promised 3 different times. Okay. Matracha netra salilastrita gatra valya, comma, stotrairabhishtuta. You can break it that ra if you want. Stotrairabhishtuta gunaha, put a gunah karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhya thabhyam, comma, maturgira dhadita manusha bala vesham. Matra cha netra salila strita ghatra valya stotrairabhishtuta gunah karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgira dhadita manusha bala vesham.
ராஜேஷ் ஒரு செகண்டரி கொஸ்டின் அந்த கஷிபாவெல்லாம் வந்து பிராமணா தென் யூ ஆர் டாக்கிங் அபவுட் வசுதேவா அண்ட் தேவகி அவ க்ஷத்ரிய குலத்துல பிறந்திருக்கா இல்ல
ஆமா
அது வந்து மூணாவது வந்து ஸோ பிராமண் யூஸ்வலி இட் இஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் ப்ரோக்ரெசிவ்லி அபவ் ரைட் ஸோ அதுக்கு ஏதாவது எக்ஸ்பிளனேஷன் கொடுத்துருக்காரா இங்க
ஐ மீன் இல்ல அது வந்து அது நம்ம அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் சொல்லிக்கிறோம் that is big, this big Krishnavataram is showing that I'm going to be born to a Kshatriya, I'm going to live with a Vaishya. Okay. And Krishna also does Upanayanam also. Because and the Upanayanam போடுறது வந்து Kshatriyas also do Upanayanam.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Kshatriyas do Upanayanam. Yeah.
Upanayanam. So, இப்போ வந்து Krishna is saying that it's just I think one of the things we'll see in Krishna Avataram very significantly, right? Beginning from 37 to 88, there'll be an indication to say there are no rules in Krishna Avataram. There are no norms. There's no rule like you have to do it this way, right? You can do any way of engaging with Krishna. That is going to be the takeaway. And that will come in the last stanza of Dasakam 88 when Krishna Avataram comes to an end. It says that there's no way you can have lust towards Krishna. You can have, you want to marry Krishna. You can treat him like a son. You can treat him like an enemy, as a friend, as whatever you want. As long as you have some kind of a connection to Krishna. Okay. That's what it says. So another that's going to be the takeaway here. So anyway, to answer your question, no, it was not of that. It is in this case Vasudeva is Kshatriya, but when he goes to Nandagopa and Yashoda, they are Vaishyas.
Yeah. Matra cha netra salila strita gatra valya stotrairabhishtuta gunah karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgira daditha manusha balavesham. Matra cha netra salila strita gatra valya stotrairabhishtuta gunah karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgira daditha manusha balavesham.
Second time on the first line, netra, I heard just netra salilas.
Okay, netra salilas. Okay.
Matra cha netra salilastrata gatra valya stotrerabhishtuta guna karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgira dadita manusha balavesham. Matra cha netra salilastrita gatra valya stotrerabhishtuta guna karunalayastvam prachina janma yugalam pratibodhyatabhyam maturgira dadita manusha balavesham.
Do one more stanza today. त्वत्प्रेरितस्तदनुनन्दतनु जयाते व्यत्यासमारचयितुं सहिशूरसूनुः त्वां हस्तयोरदितचित्तविधार्यमार्यैः अम्बोरुहस्तकलहंसकिशोररम्यम्. So then Krishna then he takes that form, right? He takes a Bala Vesham, right? And when he takes that form, before he takes that form, he also gives Vasudeva one very clear instruction. He says, immediately, I want you to take me and then go to this place called Gokula, which Vasudeva knows. The Gokulam, where Nanda, Gopan, Yashoda are there. So he tells, you go there, you go leave me by the bedside of Yashoda. There is going to be a baby girl who's actually going to be there, and you bring that baby girl over here. So that's the instruction Krishna tells. And the moment, he actually tells that, so whatever is, he says, Bhattacharya says, whatever people can only imagine doing this, and this he keeps saying several times, right? That imagine taking the Lord in your hands. So that's what Vasudeva does. He takes a small baby. The baby is very small. Now it's the size of a newborn baby, right? Like any newborn baby, it is there. So Vasudeva is lifting it and he's about to go. Then it is as if Kala Hamsa Kishora Ramyam, as if in a lotus. In a lotus is a small swan which is actually sitting on the lotus with that, like that. Vasudeva is holding the baby in a cup, right? Like a cup, like a lotus, the Mari, and baby is in the middle. So with that, Vasudeva. Next stanza we'll cover in next class that will talk about how all these chains and all get shackled, unshackled, and all of that. Tvat preritas tadanu nanda tanujayate, vyatya samara chayitum sahi shurasunuhu त्वां हस्तयोरधृत चित्त विधार्यमार्यैः. Visarga, viधार्यमार्यैः. Next line, the ra becomes a. Amboru hasta kala hamsa kishora ramyam.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
and the chitta vidharya mayai. அதுல ஏதோ ஹஸ்தயோர் திருத்த சொன்னேன். திருத்தவா திக்தவா?
धृत हस्तयोरधृत.
अच्छा, ओके.
त्वत्प्रेरितस्तदनु नन्दतनूजयाते व्यत्यासमारचयितुं सहि शूरसूनुः त्वां हस्तयोर. So I'm just breaking it as हस्तयोर adhrita. That's why it might have sounded different to you. That ra it's ir and a there. So त्वां हस्तयोर adhrita chitta vidharyamaryaihi amboruhasta kalahamsa kishora ramyam. Just do one time.
त्वत्प्रेरितस्तदनु नन्दतनूजयाते व्यत्यासमारचयितुं सहि शूरसूनुः त्वां हस्तयोरधृत चित्तविधार्यमायैः अम्भोरुहस्तकलहंसकिशोररम्यम्.
त्वत्प्रेरितस्तदनु नन्दतनूजायाते व्यत्यासम् आरचयितुं सहि शूरसूनुः त्वां हस्तयोरधृतचित्तविदार्यम् आर्यैः अम्बोरुहस्तकलहंसकिशोररम्यम्.
Stop here today. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashita sahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananham kahena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanahyeti samarpayami.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.